What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mike Dolce Show. I didn't want to, or I didn't even plan on posting a video today, but here we go. CHIMAEV'S coach actually calls me out and says some really nasty, nasty, hurtful things that are categorically false and rather diluted. So let me jump in. I'm going to play exactly what he said right now, and I'm going to give you my very pointed response, and I'm going to bring in some other information that you have not heard. But this week, I'm going to go even deeper. Let me show you exactly what he said right here, right now. Let me shut up.
Name on our heads. And all these motherfuckers that talking about the dietitian and all this, that it's his fault and all this. No, it wasn't his fault. Like going out, like trying to make a name out of themselves and show like what we're doing wrong or what we're not doing wrong. Fuck you, motherfuckers. You understand? Is that you're not gonna make a name on our heads. Like it was just the way it was. He could have taken more weight, but it didn't, because I'm not gonna risk his life. You understand? So mind your own fucking business. Just talking about these dietitians that are slagging off like Eric and all them, trying to make a name of themselves.
I'm going to give you details here.
Rats, yeah. Eric, you did a great job. Dylan, you did a great job, man. Like,
your dude missed weight by 8 pounds. He didn't do a great job. He did a pretty shit job. It doesn't mean he's a bad person. He did a horrible job. So let me actually stop here right now, give you some context. I'm going to bring something else in. So this is CHIMAEV'S head coach, Andres Michael. He did this last night behind the scenes after KHAMZAT won. He comes on and he had very clear words to say for myself and other people. Let's hear again one more time so I can I'm going to stop this now, and I'm going to tell you. I'm going to stop this, and now I'm going to show you where he's wrong.
And all these motherfuckers that talking about the dietitian and all this, that it's his fault and all this. No, it wasn't.
So right now he's talking about myself, the 4-time world MMA trainer of the year, the most successful weight management coach in the history of the UFC, and the pioneer of modern day weight cutting. Okay. I've worked with more athletes. I've brought more athletes on the scale than coach here has ever brought to the UFC. Not fair. He's talking about Dr. Tony Ricci, one of the foremost scientists and experts in the field of sports performance science. He's talking about Jordan Sullivan, the fight dietitian, Israel Adesanya's dietitian, Alexander Volkanovski's dietitian, Kai Kiara France's dietitian, many others who's also a registered dietitian. He's talking about Tyler Minton, who holds a Bachelor of Science in Nutrition, worked with Daniel Cormier when Daniel Cormier was winning UFC titles left and right, many other great athletes. So he's talking shit about some of the most accomplished, most credible, most successful sports nutritionists in the world. Now, his athlete just missed weight by 8 pounds. In the history of my career, I have never had an athlete ever miss weight in over 20 years. Never, ever, ever, never. His athlete just missed weight by 8.5 pounds. Now, let's continue. Just for context here, I know coach is mad, and I'm happy to talk to you, brother. I'm happy to talk to you in person, privately. We can WhatsApp, we can FaceTime, or we can do it publicly, and that would be a fun one for everyone. But let's listen a little bit more.
It wasn't his fault. Like going out, like trying to make a name out of themselves and show like what we're doing wrong or what we're not doing wrong.
Now, nobody here is trying to make a name out of ourselves, because everyone here, myself, I have 138 some odd thousand followers on Instagram, for whatever that's worth. I believe coach here has how many followers? All right, he's got 17,000. Not bad. Who cares? But nobody here's clout chasing. We as experts are simply saying that dude missed weight by 8.5 pounds. He blew the UFC main event. He caused the entire card to be reshuffled. He put the entire card in jeopardy of being canceled. Nobody here is clout chasing. Jordy is an accredited practicing dietitian in Australia. I mean, Tyler is one of the most credible here in the nation. Tony Ricci is the head of performance sciences. I apologize for the exact title Tony has. He's got too many titles to remember. Nobody here is clout chasing. I've been doing this before Khamzat was even in high school, I believe. I was working with UFC athletes in the late 90s. I'm the 4-time World MMA Trainer of the Year. I retired nearly a decade or so ago. I'm a stay-at-home dad, baby. Nobody's clout chasing here, coach. I understand you're in a place, you're feeling a certain way. I get that. But man, you got to check yourself. You, your team, your athlete, you all fucked up here. You have to own that. A la Conor McGregor and Dominic Cruz, after big losses in their career, they walked out like men. They took the microphone and they took responsibility for their mistakes. Coach, you have to do that with your athlete here, but let's go on.
Fuck you.
Whoa!
Motherfuckers.
Whoa! Me? F me, dude. No, not F me. F your protocol. I'm not going to say F you, but F your protocol. Your athlete shit the bed. Your weight management coach shit the bed. Now, he's talking about Eric Triliegi. I know Eric just a tiny little bit. We've had some interaction. I don't have anything bad to say about Eric, but fuck. If Eric is the guy responsible for the weight cut and the weight cut goes like shit, well, then Eric's got to take responsibility for that. It doesn't mean he's a bad human being. It means shit went sideways. And you have to accept that. You can't get mad at Jordan Sullivan for getting mad at you guys risking the health of your athlete. You can't get mad at Tyler Minton or Tony Ricci for commenting on it because you guys fucked up. They didn't fuck up. You fucked up, coach. You are the head here, man. You're the head coach. You are the guy in charge. You are the Steve Jobs. You are the Warren Buffett. You are the Elon Musk. When shit goes sideways, well, that's your fault. You have to hold people accountable here.
I understand this. You're not going to make a name on our heads. Like,
nobody here's making a name on your head. We are all super credible in our own way. Your athlete just missed weight by 8.5 pounds and lost his opportunity to fight for the UFC world title. Think about that. Khamzat Chimaev just lost the chance to fight for the welterweight world title because his team couldn't get him to weight. And coach is saying, F us? No, coach, that's not. I understand you're feeling a certain way. You're upset. So I'm going to give you some grace here.
it was just the way it was.
It's just the way it was. That's weak sauce, brother. That's weak sauce.
Could have taken more weight, but it didn't because I'm not going to risk his life.
You're not going to risk his life, bro. He was 8.5 pounds over when you stopped the weight cut. If you're risking his life during fight week, your weight management coach already fucked up. Fair? If you're risking his life 8 pounds over the weight class you agreed to fight at, you guys already messed up. You can't act like you did something good here by fucking up in the weeks and days before the weigh-in debacle. You guys messed up. You have to take responsibility for that. That's what this is about. You cannot pass the buck. You have to take responsibility for this.
I understand. So, mind your own fucking business.
This is our business. This is our sport. You can briefly, that's me on stage with George St. Pierre, the amazing Ronda Rousey. I have Chael Sonnen, Randy Couture, Dan Henderson, Carlos Condit posters all over my facility of me working with these athletes, getting these athletes to the scale on weight, on time, every single time. This is the sport we have helped build. This is the science we have helped craft. You have crashed this. All the decades of work I've put in and my team has put in, that Jordy Sullivan has put in, that Tyler Minton has put in, that Dr. Capadoglia has put in, that Dr. Corey Peacock has put in, that Jake Bonacci years ago has put in, that Tony Ricci has put in. All of the years that Charles Hall at the UFC PI, all the years that we've put in, investing the time, the energy, the passion, the science, the sacrifice for nothing, for pennies. Pennies. You guys shit the bed on this. So you can't say it has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with us. It has everything to do with. What about Nate's team, whom I'm friends with? I've worked with members of Nate's direct team. Athletes like Yancy Medeiros, athletes like Gil Melendez, athletes like Jake Shields, who I'm friends with. I co-coached on Gil Melendez's season of The Ultimate Fighter. You see me there on set, working with Gil, working with the athletes, offering education here. We have toiled in darkness for decades to preserve the health and safety of the athletes. And coach, to be fair, you guys really did a terrible job here. Now, congrats to KHAMZAT. He's an amazing athlete. The dude is a savage. You've discredited your own athlete with this unprofessional behavior. And yes, I think Eric Truliegi is man enough to step up and say, yeah, some shit went sideways. It went bad. Fuck it. Ouch. It happens. Here's what happened. Here's what we think happened. Like, I'm not yelling at Eric. I'm not yelling at you. I'm responding to you telling us to all go F ourselves, which is nasty words. That's not nice.
Just talking about these dietitians that are slagging off like Eric and all them, trying to make a name.
You missed weight by 8.5 pounds. You deserve to get some public criticism, especially when it's the most credible names in the game. You deserve some criticism here. The fact that you can't take the criticism really makes me wonder about your ability to move forward and turn this into a positive. Where's John Kavanaugh, right? You win or you learn, right, John Kavanaugh? Well, this was a big loss. KHAMZAT got the win against Kevin Holland, but this was a loss in KHAMZAT's career. Public sentiment has turned against KHAMZAT. He went from being the number one favorite fighter in the UFC fans to the number one hated, bang, overnight like that. People love Colby Covington now more than they love KHAMZAT if you check the polls. Overnight. You lost the ability to fight for the UFC world title, missing out on millions of immediate dollars in his very next fight. That's not good. So you can't get mad at us for giving positive, constructive criticism.
Of themselves.
Rats.
Yeah.
Come on, fellas.
Eric, you did a great job. Dylan, you did a great job, man.
How did Eric do a great job when your athlete misses weight by 8.5 pounds? This is questionable leadership, and I'm using my words very kindly right now. And everybody in the chat, please feel what you have to say. This is questionable leadership. If you're saying your weight management coach did a great job by bringing your athlete in 8.5 pounds overweight, blowing the main event. If that is a great job, I would love to hear what a bad job is.
It's not easy dealing with the wolf, believe me. You give him rice, he eats kebab.
Now, this is where the truth comes out. Coach says it's not easy dealing with the wolf, which is KHAMZAT. You give him rice, he eats kebabs. So, coach, what you're saying right now is you knowingly are working with an undisciplined athlete and uncoachable athlete. You're working with an athlete that is not listening to what his coaches are telling him, but you're yelling at us when you're the one that cannot control your athlete. This is the most telling. I don't care about the FU and the mean words. I understand your feelings are hurt because you're getting slagged in the media, which you deserve. But the bigger issue here, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody watching, Coach Andres, and Andres Michael, Coach Andres Michael, you just told the entire world that your athlete does not listen to you, does not listen to your coaching staff, does not follow best practices to be his best self. So now we are wondering, Why should we invest any time, any emotional energy into your athlete in the belief that he will actually do what it needs to become a champion? Why should we go along with on the journey with you anymore? You just said, tell him to eat rice. He's not going to eat it. He's going to eat whatever the fuck he wants. He's going to do whatever he wants. So then, coach, your athlete does not respect you, does not respect your word, does not respect your background, your passion, your experience. Don't you see that? I, as a coach, see that. I understand that. It's my job as a coach to earn the trust of the athlete, so the athlete will follow the principles and protocols the coaching staff sets to bring about the very best for the athlete, for the team, for the culture, for the sport. You just told us, Coach Andres, that your athlete does not listen to you, which tells me your athlete does not respect you. That is a problem. That's the problem here. Khamzat doesn't respect you. He doesn't respect Eric. He doesn't respect Dana. He doesn't respect Nate. He doesn't respect the division. He doesn't respect the sport. He doesn't respect the fans. So why should we give you the respect that you desperately want? Because you're calling us out, telling us to go F ourselves when your own athlete doesn't even respect you enough to eat rice instead of kebab. So he shows up 8.5 pounds overweight like an amateur. This is one of the worst weight cuts in the history of the UFC. Think about that. 8.5 pounds is rare. We'll go years and years in the sport and not see weight cut mishaps over 5 pounds. This is one of the worst weight cut disasters in the history of MMA. And you just brush it off? No, coach. You must have a serious tone inside your team. Heads must roll. You think Phil Jackson would put up with this nonsense? You think Bill Belichick would put up with this nonsense? Of course not. Heads will roll.
You give him a chicken, he eats a steak. And there's another guy that...
And he just says, you give Khamzat, you tell him to eat chicken, he eats steak. He does not respect you. That's what you just told us. You just told us he doesn't respect you. And then you're mad at us because your guy misses weight and you say your weight cut coach did an amazing job? He didn't respect the weight cutting coach. He doesn't listen to him because he doesn't trust him, because he doesn't believe in him. So he does his own thing.
Does that as well. He eats his diet food and then he eats with us as well.
And then
This
you
is a
talk
monster.
about Darren
Next
Till.
on line. End of the year. Look out for this.
He's an amazing fighter, but will likely never achieve his full potential because of the same discipline issues we're now seeing in Khamzat. And that's where it goes. So I got a little, I didn't think I'd get as passionate about that at the very end, but I did. So now briefly, I want to show you just very briefly. So this right here, this is Eric Truliegi. This gentleman right here. This is Khamzat's weight management coach. This is Eric Truliegi. I have nothing bad to say about Eric. I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. I don't know. But what we do know is Khamzat missed weight by 8.5 pounds. And to not take responsibility for that, to not put out a statement, shows us a lack of integrity, I would have to say. To just act like it's no big deal, that's not true. It's a very big deal. And then we have, and I'm going to show you this very briefly, this video from Jordan Sullivan.
Here is the real problem with Khamzat Chimaev missing weight that no one is talking about. Now, there is absolutely no excuse for missing weight by 7.5 pounds. Everything and everyone in Khamzat's camp is ultimately under his control. But this is where the real problem is. Khamzat had a chef with him this entire camp and had that chef with him all of fight week.
So Jordy is talking about this chef right here, which is Eric Trulieghi. And I'm not saying this to bash Eric, to be mean. This is the facts. So for KHAMZAT'S coach to come out and say, F you to all of us who are like, damn, this is a huge mistake. Jordy came out with a very educated video, Care, Compassion. Dr. Tony Ricci co-signed it. Tyler Minton. There's actually screenshots of Tyler speaking with Eric out there. So this is the whole kerfluffle, as they say. Now, let's continue on and hear more what Jordy has to say.
Here is the real problem with KHAMZAT Chimaev missing weight that no one is talking about. Now, there is absolutely no excuse for missing weight by 7.5 pounds. Everything and everyone in KHAMZAT'S camp is ultimately under his control. But this is where the real problem is. KHAMZAT had a chef with him this entire camp and had that chef with him all of fight week. The chef himself is not the problem. He's probably a really nice guy. But what he represents is one of the biggest and most dangerous problems in combat sports right now. And that's weight cut specialists. Now, I brought this up many times in the past, and I absolutely have no problem with people who genuinely want to help others. That's admirable. But we can't just be fine with people pretending to be something that they are not. And that's adequately educated to do a job that's highly risky. There is a course that qualifies people as weight cut specialists after an extravagantly overpriced 2-day course. This course is taught by people with no education in the area who have simply cut weight themselves in the past and then convinced other fighters to work with them and help them cut weight. This is what happened to KHAMZAT and other fighters on the card who used weight cut specialists qualified by this 2-day course, as opposed to using the free services of the highly qualified UFC Performance Institute dietitians who were on site all week. To demonstrate how scary this actually is, have a look at this conversation between Tyler Minton, someone who has a bachelor's degree in nutrition and is currently completing his master's, and the guy that was looking after KHAMZAT'S weight. It is absolutely ridiculous. Why should we even care about this, though?
All right, so I'm going to pause it right there, and I have to agree with what Jordy's saying. That conversation was a little crazy. There was a total lack of acceptance of science, but I will say, I don't know the full conversation, and we have to be fair to Eric. The conversation may have been taken out of the much longer, broader context, but some of the statements in there were factually, scientifically incorrect. Jordy also mentioned this weight cutting specialist certification that Eric had apparently went through. That is this. This is the Lockhart and Leith weight cut specialist program that was created by former business partners George Lockhart and Daniel Leith. I will say Daniel Leith reportedly has since left the Lockhart and Leith banner. He no longer is associated with George Lockhart and the Lockhart and Leith weight cutting specialist program. That's a whole nother conversation, by the way, behind the scenes. But this is what Jordy is discussing. This weight cut specialist program, from what I understand, is it's lacking, to say the least. Now, Eric Trulieghi, to be fair, he's also left George Lockhart and Leith, so he moved on. Tyler Minton years ago had worked with George Lockhart. He quit working with George Lockhart. So the specter of George Lockhart still stands inside the MMA world. And I will say that George Lockhart has one of the worst weight cut records in the history of combat sports. To be fair, when Khabib Nurmagomedov missed weight versus Tony Ferguson, he was working with George Lockhart. When Max Holloway missed weight twice, well, he was working with George Lockhart. When Yoel Romero missed weight versus Luke Rockhold for the UFC middleweight world title, well, he was working with George Lockhart. When Paige Van Zandt collapsed, she was working with George Lockhart. She's spoken about this. When Kenny Florian damn near died and was diagnosed with a thyroid issue after an arduous weight cut versus Jose Aldo, well, he was working with George Lockhart. When we can talk about Ray Benoit, we can talk about Chris Cyborg nearly dying and having to get severe medical assistance after working with George Lockhart. There's the list of athletes goes on and on and on and on and on. Truly, Jessica Rose Clark has been very open about what happened to her health-wise, metabolically, since working with George Lockhart. The story goes on and on and on. So that's there. That is out there in the specter. So you have these pretenders out there, and I don't know where Eric falls. Now, Eric positions himself as a chef, and maybe that's true. Maybe Eric's going to say, hey, listen, dude, I was just cooking the food. Someone else told me to cook. And that's fair play to Eric. Like, I don't know the full details. I want to be clear on that. That's fair play to Eric. But something went shit show sideways wrong. And KHAMZAT'S coach came out and was really, let's play it one more time.
And all these motherfuckers that like talking about the dietitian and all this, that it's his fault and all this. No, it wasn't his fault. Like going out, like trying to make a name out of themselves and show like what we're doing wrong or what we're not doing wrong. Fuck you, motherfuckers.
Boom. Like, dude, come on, man. Who are you mad at then? Who are you mad at? And everyone's going to say, oh, it was the UFC doctor, the UFC doctor, the UFC doctor stopped it. If the UFC doctor comes in and stops a weight cut when you are 8.5 pounds above the weight class limit, you already shit the bed. You messed up so bad, the weight cut doctor or the UFC doctor comes in and stops the shit show before anything worse happens. It's not like he was a half pound over begging and begging. Now, I will also say they called the doctor. The doctor doesn't just show up at your room. You called the doctor reportedly at 4 a.m. Why are you awake at 4 a.m. still cutting weight? Why are you awake at 4 a.m. the night before weigh-in still cutting weight? And I'm also going to call suspect on this story because a few hours later, they say it was so bad. I was scared my athlete was going to die. His entire body was cramping. It was so bad. He was literally at death's door. The UFC doctor had to stop the weight cut. Then I ask you, everyone go watch the public weigh-ins. Does KHAMZAT look like someone who was at death's door a few hours beforehand? He is jumping and bounding and leaping around. I don't care how many bags of IV fluid they put back into him. I don't care what he ate, how many kebabs and rice he may have eaten. I call bullshit. If nothing else, I believe I am the most experienced weight cut expert speaking on the topic. I have been doing this since the 90s. Since the 90s, Randy Couture hired me in 2004 to be the head strength and conditioning coach for Team Quest North in Portland, Oregon. When it was Randy Couture, Dan Henderson, Matt Lindland, and Evan Tanner, all at the top level. Randy was getting ready to fight Tito Ortiz. I was already working with elite athletes prior to that. Just to be clear. So I've been in the game a long time. I have never heard and never seen an athlete on death's door at 4 a.m., the doctor coming in and stopping the weight cut, and them jumping around, joking and bounding around the public weight cut stage a few hours later. So I call bullshit on the whole story. Hey, maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. I don't know. I highly doubt it. A lot of chat here. KHAMZAT got no respect for UFC fans or anyone. He got the kick out because he makes a bad image spectacle for younger kids. I agree. KHAMZAT will be pound for pound number one. That's possible. Jamarcus says, Dolce, you are the truth. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Him until pound and loggers. That's possible. You are just a hater. I'm not a hater, baby. I'm a lover, man. Clowns that Dan wasn't even born then. I know, right? Jamarcus, Mike, F him. You know the truth. Ant-Man, Mike Dolce, all the way. I appreciate that. Thank you. UFC should have pulled KHAMZAT out from the card. Possible. He's just an unprofessional rookie. Dude's a complete clown. I would say he's an amateur still. Nate Diaz was right. That is an amateur move. He should have not been able to fight. I agree. If the doctor cancels the weight cut, the athlete shouldn't be able to fight. Right? Hell no. The answer I've been searching for, right on. Unprofessional and a cheater. Possible. F him, Mike. You're the truth. Thank you. You know you're the truth. Thank you. Thank you. What's wrong with this coach? Coach is mad. The guy, and I'm not mad at Coach Andres. He's mad. I understand he's mad. I understand it. He's mad. He's hurt. His feelings are some kind of way because his athlete blew his chance. Khamzat Chimaev likely would have gone out there and won the fight against Nate Diaz in the main event of UFC 279 and immediately became the #1 challenger versus Leon Edwards. If Khamzat made weight, he would have fought Nate Diaz, very possibly won. His next fight would have been for the world title, and he would have had a much easier fight, in my opinion, versus Leon Edwards than he would have against Nate Diaz. Khamzat Chimaev could have been in one fight. He could have been the UFC welterweight world champion, but he missed weight. Now he might not have a chance. I would be mad too. Khamzat for Covington at 170. I agree with that. Victory has many fathers. Defeat is an orphan. Ain't that the truth? John, his directing of Chris, he's talking about George Lockhart's directing of Cyborg's weight cuts during her UFC run was repulsive and horrific. Dolce, I told you Friday what the card would end up being. You called me a troll. I'm sorry, man. We were having fun on Friday. We were just joking around. I did a 4-hour live stream on Friday. Go back and check that out. You said, yep, zero integrity George. The strikes again, the specter of zero integrity George. Paul says, medical issue. He looked fine when he was at the restaurant with that girl the night before weigh-ins. Well, I didn't see that video, but I've heard about it. So, Real News says, just got here, but if Khamzat was told to stop cutting weight early, would it be fair to believe he put on little weight? No, this was at 4 a.m. If you are in such dire straits that you are cramping up, you can't stand up, allegedly, the medical doctor comes in and stops you from cutting weight, the fight should be canceled. If that's true, the fight should be canceled. Right? If you can no longer cut weight due to medical emergency, you should not be able to get clubbed in the skull 24 hours later. Would you agree with that? We all agree with that. That's the true conspiracy. All right. Jamarcus says, George Lockhart ruined a lot of MMA fighters' careers. Agreed. I'm going to do a bro chat next week. I'm going to get Tyler Minton on, Jordy Sullivan on, Tony Ricci on. I would love to have Coach Andres come on. Coach, I'm having fun here, but you said some mean stuff. I'm being very respectful. I'd love to have a chat with you, Coach. I understand you're in a tough situation. You have an uncoachable athlete that's really busting your chops. This is not what you wanted, and it makes all your hard work look bad. So it's not fair to coach in this situation, but this is what it is. This is the situation that you're in. So I'd happy to chat with you also, Coach. All right, guys and gals, I appreciate you all for being here. Everybody here, thank you all for being here, for being a part of this live stream. Click the links below if you are interested. Get your blood work test at MarekHealth.com. Casandrino's extra virgin olive oil, certified Piedmontese beef delivered to your door. Become a Dolce Diet certified nutrition coach. A higher level mastery of nutrition and dietetics endorsed by the NSCA, NASM, and the AFAA, something that the other weight cut specialist bogus degree, in my opinion, is not endorsed by. We're endorsed by the 3 largest certification agencies for high-level coaches in the nation. That's how premium our content is, taught by myself and my team of registered dietitians. That's all here. Or you can work with us, work with the team. You want to change your body, change your life, look for the 3 weeks to shredded online personalized program at thedolcediet.com. We have a 4-week and 12-week online personalized total body transformation program available for you right now. We also have one-on-one private coaching, one-on-one calls. All those links are below. Thank you, guys. I will be back tomorrow spitting more fire. We'll see. Maybe Coach Andres has something. I'm going to reach out to him with respect, see if he wants to come on and we can chat all about it. I'm going to reach out to Eric too, see if Eric wants to come on and chat about it. I think I was fair. In this. Leave comments below, ladies and gentlemen. Was I fair in my because this was a response. Was I fair in my response to everybody involved? I believe I was. Until next time.